Russia blames massive, illicit cell phone usage by its troops for Ukraine strike that killed 89.
Here's a summary of the article.
Russia's defense ministry said on Wednesday that 89 service members were killed in the Ukrainian attack on Makiivka in the Moscow-controlled parts of the Donetsk region, adding the main reason for the attack was unauthorized use of mobile phones by the troops. It is already obvious that the main reason for what happened was the switching on and massive use, contrary to the prohibition, by personnel of mobile phones in a reach zone of enemy weapons, the ministry said in a statement. The strike just after midnight on New Year's Day, on a school that was converted into military quarters in Makiivka, has spurred anger among Russian nationalists and some lawmakers, questioning the military strategy used there. The defense ministry said 4 rockets from the US-made HIMARS launchers hit the building, adding that, from the detonation of the warheads of the HIMARS rockets, the ceilings of the building collapsed. The ministry added in its statement on the Telegram messaging app that a commission is investigating the circumstances of the attack. The ministry also suggested that in return, it launched airstrikes launched at a hardware concentration near Druzhkivka railway station in Donetsk, killing up to 200 Ukrainian personnel, and destroying 4 HIMARS launchers and more than 800 rockets. Kyrylo Tymoshenko, an aide to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, said on Tuesday that 2 people were wounded in the attack on Druzhkivka, which destroyed a hockey arena.
This post received a score of 28,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I blame forcefully occupying Ukrainian territory as the root cause of this.
Also, this bit of fake news was hilarious. Russia. Trust me, bro.
How many times have they blown up the 20 HIMARS systems the US has given to Ukraine now?
About 35 HIMARS ago.
On May 2, 2011, 24 elite Navy SEALs raided a compound in Pakistan and killed Osama bin Laden. Since then I've had the good fortune of meeting over 200 of them.
That's a lot of bin Ladens.
It's certainly not the fault of the commanders who placed them next to an ammunition depot.
I recently heard a concerning story about compensation for families of deceased soldiers. It appears that families are only given compensation if they can identify the bodies. Though I do not have the exact numbers, I understand that the Russian army frequently reports bodies as unidentifiable or missing in action, MIA, or declares individuals as absconded, leaving the families without the proper closure or monetary compensation for the service of their loved one.
How TF is Putin still sustaining this war? Edit. All right guys, I am reading your replies which basically say shit tons of armament and bodies, but what I really meant to say was how are Russian soldiers still pushing themselves into literal meat grinders for Putin. Putin looks weak, the war he instigated is unjustified, he isn't remotely close to winning. What does Putin say to his generals that convinces them to keep at it and don't complain? Why isn't the Russian soldiery defecting to Ukrainian side en masse?
Sadly, for the majority of the last 100+ years, willingly or unwillingly, a culture was cultivated in Russia where the state does not answer to its citizens. It's more like weather, you can't choose it, you can only live with it. And since the fall of the curtain, most of the people who disliked this system simply elected to emigrate, leaving very few people inside the country willing to enact change. And then the quite extensive repression machine made sure that those willing would be unable to do so.
So I had to teach myself, and started reading about the Soviet Union. It quickly became obvious why salt of the earth Americans couldn't explain it, because even a giant history nerd like myself couldn't get a grip on understanding the Soviet Union without going back farther, to the 1800s. Then I could finally work my way up through Russian history without constantly being confused at the way things were and the systems that the people inexplicably accepted otherwise. That was a long-winded way to agree with your first statement, and offer that as far as I've been able to determine via amateur historical obsession, Russia was doomed after the assassination of Tsar Alexander II in 1881 and the reactionary proto-fascism that came from the Tsar that followed him.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.